And I was like, no, I can't believe. And I reminded him of what he said. That jerk just giggled. And he said, is Mateo happy or is he not happy? Hi, and welcome to Okayish Advice with me, Mama Mila. And today, we are in our bed, which I thought was perfect because we're doing our marriage, series. And so I told Mateo, I said, we are going to do a podcast together since we're going to be married for 15 years. Dang. Okay. Also, just a little reminder, this is the podcast where you ask the questions. And do we give you the best advice? Probably not. But I always bring people on who've been through it, who's lived life, and take our advice with a grain of salt because it's just okayish. So.
No, we've been through it.
Oh my God, we've been through it.
Been through a lot.
And so, anyways, of course, everybody knows this is my husband, Papa Mateo, as we so lovingly call you. And you're the man behind the woman of all the things. And yeah.
I'm the neck.
Oh my God, no.
I'm just kidding.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding, if you ever seen it.
Yeah. No, that's good. I thought I'm the neck, you're the head.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question that we have is, I come from a I forgot to say, this episode is all about unity, leaving and cleaving, baby, which has been a thing for us. So I feel like, you can learn. I come from a very involved and close-knit family. It's been a struggle of boundaries with my family and my marriage. I know you and Mateo understand because you're both Italian. How do I protect my marriage? I'll let you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, to protect your marriage, I would say we can go to, look to God first. Put God at the very, very center of everything you do. But when you get into marriage, just know that when you're making a promise to your wife or your future wife, you're making a promise to God too. And that's something that, you got to take very seriously. It is when you go into it, it is a lifetime commitment.
Yeah.
And when we both went into it, we both acknowledged that when we do this, this is going to be a forever thing. And we had, you have to get to the point of being mature enough to understand that before you even enter a marriage.
Yeah.
So,
what's your advice for, having a family, as my first therapist called, intermeshed?
So you leave the before you even tackle all this, make sure God is first.
Yeah.
And then with intermesh families, you have to set your I don't know what I was saying.
Like set a boundary.
Set boundaries.
Yeah. I'm just going to use the example of your mom. She had no boundaries. You were her baby, her everything. So it was weird because it was like it was like she was fighting me for attention.
Yeah, there's always a battle. I don't know why. It was just she maybe couldn't understand that, there was another woman in my life.
Right.
And the thing is, that you became my priority.
Yeah.
And I think to have a successful marriage, you have to be willing to fight for life and death for your wife, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, you're going to come up against principalities. You're going to be coming up against spiritual stuff with family.
For sure.
That will not understand, why you're doing what you're doing, or why you are just, hey, it's just me and my wife, that are going to be doing this.
Yeah.
So.
What did you have to do? I mean, you had to stand up to your mom.
Well, I stood up to a lot of people in my family. Yeah, my mom and even my father. And even though, I loved them, it just sometimes setting certain boundaries, saying, no, you cannot do this. No, this isn't allowed.
Yeah.
It has some back push, which that there's always going to be people that do not like that.
Yeah.
They get upset, and the thing is, you got to set the boundary. And yes, they're going to get upset, but then eventually, as long as they understand, like, okay, there's a boundary there,
right,
then that becomes a better relationship. When they don't understand boundaries, then it gets weird and crazy. And then sometimes, like it could be family, it could be friends that if they don't understand those boundaries, that the best thing to do, leave and cleave, or just you basically, you gotta say, this isn't healthy, the way you're treating me, my wife or children. And I just got to put my foot down and say, if you don't respect me, you don't respect, what the way you're treating me, my wife, and kids, then you gotta be, we gotta shut this down.
Like, you gotta go.
Until you learn to be a better person.
Yeah.
So.
And just respect the boundary.
Yeah.
And I think Matt and I, we started therapy when our daughter died. And I honestly think it was the best thing that we could do, because I feel like therapy is so taboo, but using it really showed us these weak spots in our marriage and in our family. And in ourselves that had to be worked on. And it was really amazing, because you think that when you grow up in dysfunction, it's normal, but it's not okay.
Yeah. I've talked with so many friends that what I see as, oh my gosh, your family is so helpful, and they're always there for your grandchildren. And we've had it to where there's been times that our family has helped, but it's not been they're wanting to help all the time. And I've seen,
I feel bad for our kids, honestly.
Yeah. And we have friends that, the grandparents are just always wanting to help, always like, how can I help you? Do you need financial help?
Yeah.
Do you, you need to go on a date night? Just go on a date night once a week. I'll come over, on a Friday or Saturday, which obviously with us, that doesn't work because we work in the restaurant industry, but one night a week, and then just go have fun. And so that, to me, seeing those friends' parents is just really, it's inspiring to me to be that way with our girls.
Yes.
So I'm like, hey, that's what I want to do when we have grandchildren, because we didn't really have that with our kids. And I just want to, I want to do what Jesus would do if he had, physical, like kids on the earth besides the adopted kids, but I
get what you're saying.
Yeah. And it just, I want them to be able to do that to their kids and for generations, I want to break the dysfunction, and to do that, you got to set boundaries. That's the number one. Before marriage is highly advisable. Set those boundaries before marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, Matt and I, we both come from intermesh families, and there was a point where, like, your family had really thought that I was this evil woman who, like, stole you away, and that I had, like, witchcraft against you, and, like, but they didn't understand that it was like we were so young when we got married. It was like we didn't understand the goodness of boundaries until we got therapy.
And we were already married for a while.
I mean, that was 9 years ago, and we've been together for 15. So it was like, because we didn't know about that then, what it did was, I feel like it made them, like, it was so easy for them to believe that you would all of a sudden stand up, like, that you couldn't stand up to them, like, that they had power over you, and that it was all my fault. So I feel like all these years, that's the lie that they've been telling themselves, when the reality is that you just told them, like, your behavior's not okay. You can't do this. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Boundaries with people is like boundaries with children. We tell our kids, you can't do this. It's not right. You can't treat people like this. You can't act this way. This is the consequence.
Yeah.
They don't want to listen. That's the consequence. That's it. So I guess go get some therapy.
Oh my God, it sure helps.
Gosh, I freaking love therapy.
Yeah, and
shout out to Brandy, my therapist. Yeah.
Premarital counseling, through a very good, well-known non-denominational church, or even just not a church, even just premarital, counseling. I highly recommend
counseling and everything.
Yes, yeah, and personal therapy does help too. So
okay, this is when you're asking me.
Okay, so this person says, "Hi Mila, my question about marriage is, how do you keep life spicy after being married for so long, especially with the craziness of everyday life?"
How do we keep it spicy? What do you think, Matt? How do
you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you mix it up?
Oh no.
Okay. Well, this is for you.
Your face is so red. I'm going to say we keep it spicy by constantly flirting with each other.
Yeah. Even throughout the day.
Yeah.
Even at, we do work with each other, and for a lot of people it's rough, and for us it was a little rough at first.
It's still rough sometimes, not
it's
gonna
still
lie.
rough sometimes, yeah. And I'm the instigator most of the time.
I would like to show the court.
But you instigate too.
I would just like you to know that he admitted that he's the instigator most of the time.
So, we, it's, you kind of have to be, I don't know. I don't want to say be immature and just grab each other's butt every once in a while, but
that's what we do, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And Matt's always getting mad at me because I'm always saying something extremely inappropriate to him at, like, the worst times. And
she'll like go up to my ear and be like, and and then I'm like, it's right near where people could hear, but like 99% of the time they don't hear, except it's me that hears it. And then I look over and I'm like, don't say that. They're right there.
Oh, I say it. And not only that, I love it when you try to act like you're all offended. You're like, oh.
I mean, I secretly like it a lot.
You love it.
But it's like, I guess it's like, oh my
gosh,
we're going to get caught saying this really,
spicy
dirty,
stuff.
spicy stuff to each other.
I know. That's how we keep it spicy.
So,
and like,
that's one of the major things.
Just trying to make sure that we set time aside. It's really like with kids and everything, it's really hard.
Yeah, especially if you don't have like a support system.
Yeah.
It's for us. It's been, we've basically we have friends that are basically like family to us. They are family to us. They're adopted family.
Yeah.
And I can, drop names or whatever, but they know who they are.
Yeah.
And they're great people, and they've helped us, like, you guys want a date night?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yes. Thank you,
yeah,
God.
and they're reliable people too. They're amazing people, and they're great with kids. So
and our kids are safe.
And our kids are very safe. And so I'm like, yes, let's go on a date.
Yeah. And like when you're on the date, like try not to talk about like work and the kids, even though you always end up talking about the kids.
You always talk about the kids.
But like, also there is an app that I love, and it's called Lovewick, and it's free. And it has like prompts on there if you feel like you need something to talk about, because like our brains are just kind of fried from everyday life. And you can go on there and it has like categories like finance, life, spirituality, sex, whatever.
This would actually be a good app to start before you get married as well.
Yeah,
but maybe not the sex stuff. If you're a Christian, you're not supposed to be doing that stuff.
Oh my God, we were the
before
worst.
Marriage.
I'm all.
But it is actually, there has a lot of there's a lot of good topics to cover. The topics to cover, in which.
Sorry, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
In which it's good to go over. And to understand where you're both coming from, and where you both have to meet in the middle in order to
keeps things spicy.
And understand each other better.
Yeah, communication.
Yeah, it opens communication
for sure.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number one.
Matt's looking straight into your eyes as he says that. Oh my Lord Jesus. Also, I feel like this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about what my nanu said to me on our wedding day. Let's talk about what my nanu did. I'm going to just set the stage for you guys.
He's a wise man.
I'm 19, okay? And Matt and I have been together since I was 16. I was 20.
You're 20.
Yeah. And we're on the way to the church. I'm in the back seat of my grandfather's 1962 Silver Cloud Rolls Royce, okay? With my wedding dress, he's going to walk me down the aisle, and he's driving, and he says to me, Maria Lisa, I feel like I need to have the talk with you. And I was just like, oh Lord, this man knows, like, I've been living in sin. Like, oh no, my nanu just, I don't know. He cries about Jesus. He's the last person that you want this kind of advice from. And he says to me, I want you to know that in the Bible, it says that a man needs a release every 3 days. Let me tell you something. It wasn't until we moved to Tennessee.
He's a good man.
6 years ago that I even questioned whether this was in the Bible. I just took it as like Bible truth, because my nonu, this sweet Jesus, God-fearing man, wouldn't lie to me about it. Until I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, yeah, like, in the Bible, how it says a man needs a release every 3 days. And they're like, what? I called him and I was like, no, I can't believe. And I reminded him of what he said. That jerk just giggled. And he said, is Mateo happy or is he not happy?
I was very happy. Thank you, Nanu.
Thank you, Nanu.
But I know you're not supposed to take the Bible out of, context or anything. But
I don't think Jesus would send him to hell for that. Yeah. But I just want you to know that's like a
bros
funny
before
little
hoes, I don't know. That he's definitely a bro.
Jesus. Oh my God. Okay. This is what I'm asking. We both can answer this one. Our 15-year wedding anniversary is coming up. What has been the biggest challenge being married to me? And how have we walked through that? Please, Matt, tell us.
What was the question again?
What has been the biggest challenge being married to me? You can be honest. I'm not going to hold this against you.
You just say what's on your mind.
That's the biggest challenge? Being married to me?
You just say what's on your mind.
Okay.
Which is good.
I don't feel like that's a challenge.
It's a challenge when you're out in public and you start going to, hey, this ain't right.
Okay.
And I'm like, it ain't right, but shh, be quiet. You know, we could go about this peacefully and tactfully. But no, you're calling those people out, you know.
Listen, I'm just over here like Jesus in the temple, baby. Flipping them tables.
And, you know, and every time you do that, I try and imagine that. I'm like, you know, what would Jesus do? Oh, yeah, he'd call them out.
Yeah.
You know, if they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that people need to learn to do again instead of tiptoeing around people. It would just be so much better. You know, that's what I've learned. You know, tiptoeing just creates a weird atmosphere. It's better just to tell people how it is, you know.
So what you're saying is that my biggest challenge might be one of my best attributes, perhaps?
Yes.
Well.
And I grew up in a family that didn't do that.
No,
and
they didn't.
So here's this, you know, very boisterous person, you know, just saying whatever, you know, hits her mind. And, you know, there's a lot of passion and honesty in that. And I respect that.
Thank you.
I've learned to respect that.
I feel like, I don't know if you agree with me in this, but I feel like when we were first married, I was kind of like ghetto fabulous to where
What does that mean?
like when I would, like if I saw something that wasn't right, I would just call it out, like in like a heart of like justice, like wanting to see justice happen and being like, no, that's not right. But then I could get like a little ghetto about it. But I feel like as I've, you know, matured and as I've gotten closer to Jesus, that my heart has changed to where like all I really want is for people to live their best lives. Like before, like I could, you know, see something and call it out and want this person to be punished because of the way that they were acting. But I feel like now that I've grown so much and, you know, we've been through so much that like my heart is different when I call people out. It's not that I want to call them out to see them like their consequences. Like I try to do it in like the most loving way because when I look at people now, I see them with compassion. Like, does that make sense? Like when I see people, I'm like, I always try and imagine like what kind of trauma has this person like gone through that they're this crazy?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, going through, I mean, you know, therapy and counseling and everything has, you know, it's helped you understand that even more.
Yeah.
And just, you know, takes those blinders off.
Yeah.
To understand, you know, a little bit better that we're all messed up in some way or another. But I heard we're all trying to heal. If you're trying to heal, if you're not trying to heal, you're stuck in this cycle just over and over again that you'll never see until you realize, wow, I think I need to do something about myself. You know. Yeah. And you've definitely grown spiritually and you know, and
thanks, babe.
And I'm super proud of you.
Oh my God, don't make me cry. My hormones are so jacked. Being pregnant with your heir. Thank you. I love you.
I love you.
Also, I'm trying to think of what is the biggest challenge being married to you.
Please don't say you're stubborn as Am I allowed to say that? I'm allowed to say okay.
Well,
all right.
I mean,
you can beep it out, right? Okay.
Peter cussed. So, actually, sorry to everyone who thinks that I don't cuss. In fact, the girls told Pastor Chris, he said like crap in front of them. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. They're like, my mom says way worse. Don't you worry. I'm like, could you like not tell?
Please pray for us, Pastor Chris.
But I know for real. You are stubborn, but I don't know. I think that the biggest challenge being married to you is like, I don't know. I feel like we've been through so much that I don't even see you as a challenge. Like I don't see you like us butting heads like we used to or anything like that. You know, like we've been together for so long that we like grew up together, Matt. We went from children to parents to through grief, through all that, through coming to a new place, establishing ourselves, making a business. Like, I don't know. I love like that you're just so steadfast and like, oh my God, this is so horrible. The analogy that came to my mind is like a mule. Like, I mean, we live in Mule Town, but like because like mules can be stubborn. They can, but
wow.
But they're reliable. And they like
God, this ain't getting any better, you guys.
No, they like work hard and like they carried Jesus. They carried Mary. Like mules are special. And
so
like I don't know.
So
you
am I
said
your
stubborn. Ass? Yeah.
Oh jeez.
You're my special.
Your piece of ass. Is that what it is?
Stop it. Oh
my God.
No, like
sorry, I keep pulling your hair.
You keep saying like you brought up stubborn, so that's like what's in my head. I don't know. I feel I like I love you. And I'm glad that we got to do this and answer some questions. Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap this up? You can't hold it together. I didn't mean for it to end like that, okay? I promise you that my heart is good and I think you're hot. And I love you a lot. Did that make it better?
A little bit.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I feel like this is such a weird note to end this. But I want to say thank you so much, Matt, for coming on here and being my guinea pig again. You always stand behind me in every single crazy thing. Actually, that's my favorite thing about you. In every single
gentlemen, listen up.
Crazy idea that I've ever had.
This is whether a lesson.
It's a paint color and you're like, really? And then after you do it, you're like, that looks great. Like, I see your vision. Whether it was the restaurant, whether, it's quitting your business, coming to work at the restaurant, everything. You've always been all in.
So, yep.
You've always been my biggest supporter.
Yeah.
And the only man in my life that I've been able to trust besides God that would love me unconditionally, no matter how ugly I was, no matter how fat I was, and no matter what I did. And that is, I think, what carried our marriage.
And knowing that, my wife may have to repaint, have me repaint these walls another color. And if she doesn't like that one,
I've only done
then
that
I'm
twice.
going to repaint the walls again because I know that, she wants those walls another color because they're not right still.
No.
And marriage is you are serving another person and you are, you are dedicating your life to another person.
Yeah.
It's not about happy, feely, butterfly stomach. Oh, she's so sexy. I just want her all the time. It's a conscious decision.
You better want me all the time. Like, what the heck?
It's a conscious decision that, that both parties need to make. And if one party's not making it right, then the other party, and it's been both ways before for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm going to
fight.
I'm going to fight for our marriage and I'm going to do my best And God, you can bring us through these hard times.
Yeah. So good. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Okayish Advice. I hope that somewhere in there was advice. And, I hope that somewhere to someone we inspire you. And I just want to say thank you, Mateo, for sticking it out with me all these years. And don't forget to subscribe. Do I say like and subscribe, or is that only YouTube? No, yeah. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Yeah. And I'll see you next time for another episode of Okayish Advice. Don't forget to send us your questions so that we can answer them. I love you. Tanti Bachi.